This session is on multiplying fractions. By the end of the lesson, we must be able to multiply two fractions that are less than 1. We should be able to multiply two mixed numbers, and some of us will be able to solve word problems involving multiplying fractions. So the first example, I've got a half and I need to multiply it by 3. So a half times 3 means that we have 3 lots of a half. So there's 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves. Okay, so we've got 3 halves. Okay, for this next example, we want a half of a half. Okay, so multiply in maths means of. So I'm going to take 1 half, so just one of these sections, one of these rectangles, and I need to split it into a half. Okay, so I'm going to split my whole shape in two. Now I only want a half of this first rectangle. Okay, so a half of that is going to be this one here. So in total that is 1/4 of my whole shape. Let's have a look at the next example. So again, multiply means of. So I only want a quarter of my half. So I've got my halves already, but I want only a quarter of it. So I'm going to split it, that half, into 4. Okay, but I'm going to go all the way across. 1/4 of the half, so I just want this half here, and I only want 1/4 of it. So it's only going to be one of these boxes. Okay, so that's 1 out of a total of 8 parts. Okay, so a quarter times by a half is going to be 1/8. Let's have a look at the next one. So I want a fifth of my half. So again, I take my shape, or I take my half and I divide it into 5. Okay, so I took my original half, so this side here, and then I split it into 5. I only want one of those fifths, so that's just one of these. A fifth times by a half is going to be 1 out of a total of 10 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we only have 1/10. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. I want 2/3 of my half. So I'm going to split my shape into thirds. Okay, so out of my half, I want 2/3. Okay, so I only want 2 sections. I can pick any of those, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I've got 2/3 of my original half that I had. So how many have I shaded in? It's going to be 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 2/6. Okay, so there's a general rule. We can multiply numerators and then multiply the denominators, and then we can simplify it if possible. So just have a quick look back. All we need to do, instead of drawing diagrams, is multiply my numerators. So 2 times 1 is 2, and then multiply my denominators. 3 times 2 is 6. We get 2/6, and we can simplify that to be 1/3. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing with these ones. You're going to evaluate the following, leaving your answers in their simplest form. And for question 2, we've got a mixed number, which you need to convert into a top-heavy fraction so we can easily multiply it through. Okay, so press play when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so here are the answers. Next questions. We've got some worded questions here. A merchant buys 28 crates, each containing 3/4 of a tonne of waste metal. What is the total weight of this order? So we've got each contains 3/4 of a tonne. So we've got 28 lots of 3/4. Okay, so for the answers, we have 21 tonnes. So we've got 3/4 of 28. Okay, and that gives me 21 tonnes. The next one, a girl eats 1/4 of a cake, so she eats a quarter. And then she also eats a half of what is left. So she has a half of 3/4 because that's how much she has left. Okay, so a half of 3/4 is going to be 3/8. How much cake is left uneaten? So in total, she has eaten a quarter of the cake and she's also eaten 3/8 of the cake. So that gives me 5/8. So the amount left is going to be 5/8. We have 3/8 remaining. Question 5, Kathleen spent 3/8 of her income on rent and 2/5 of what was left on food. What fraction of her income was left after buying her food? So she spent 3/8 on the rent, 2/5, so this is for the food. She spent 2/5 of whatever was left. So after the rent, there were 5/8 left. Okay, so she spent 2/5 of the remaining amount that she had on food. So that is 2/5 times by 5/8, which is a quarter. What fraction of her income was left after buying her food? So we're going to have the total, take away the rent, and then take away the food. Total amount, which is 1. Okay, so that's the whole of her wages or her income. We take away 3/8 and we take away a quarter. Okay, so if we make these all into 8s, that's the total. Take away 3/8, take away 2/8. We are left with 8, take away 3 is 5, 5 take away 2 is 3. So 3/8 of her income is left after buying her food. Okay, so here is your homework.